Well, hey, all, welcome back to Making Disciples. This is another episode where we get together to talk about how we can help men become disciples of Jesus. And so I just want to welcome you today. I appreciate the fact that you're listening again, and let us know if you have any comments or questions. Today, I want to welcome in a guest, Jeremy Byrd. Jeremy and I have known of each other for a while and have gotten to know each other a little better over the years. I first met him when he was coaching baseball down at Frostproof here just south of Lake Wales, where our church is located. And now we've interacted a little bit over the years. And so, but you're going to love having him today and hearing more about him. He is a representative for Fellowship of Christian Athletes here in this area. And we have him on to talk about that and to just talk about the impact that he's having on young men and young women as a coach for Christ. And so, Jeremy, welcome. It's good to have you today.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So this is the first time you've been on a podcast, right?
First time ever.
So we're crossing that off your bucket list.
That's right.
So, all right. Very good. Well, I appreciate you coming in and looking forward to hearing more of your story. And that's kind of where I want to start. I want to just talk about, I know what you're doing now, which I definitely want you to talk more about what your work is with FCA and how that's going. And maybe if there's some stories that you can share. But our families have gotten to know each other a little bit. You had taught at Lake Wells High School prior to this, and my wife was in a room kind of caddy corner next to you and spoke very highly of you. So you and I have interacted a little bit, but have never spent time together one-on-one or with families. And but man, when I talk about Jeremy Byrd, people around this area just have a lot of respect for you and the kind of man you are and the work that you're doing, and just how calm you are and the way that the Lord's using you. So really excited to hear more about that. I first met you when, you were coaching down at Frostproof. My son was an athlete there and never played for you. He had tried out, but he went on to football and basketball instead. But he and I were talking the other day. He had gone through some stuff at his house and found a baseball, just random. And he said, I don't even know what that was in there for, but it made me want to try to make a comeback. And so he's 32 years old, right? And so I said, man, I would love to play catch with you. We haven't done that since he was like 12.
Right.
I don't know whose arm would hurt worse if we started playing catch, but we're going to find out. So we were talking and making plans about getting our gloves out and just playing catch. And to this day, I grew up playing baseball, played in high school, college, and we can talk about that if we want. But so when I smell fresh cut grass, it just makes me want to go find my glove. That kid in me just comes alive. And that's why I'm wearing a Cincinnati Reds jersey now. It's kind of embarrassing to be a Reds fan, but it's a Johnny Bench one, who was my favorite player growing up and kind of got me into baseball. So, man, tell me a little bit about who Jeremy Byrd is.
Well, first of all, the introductions is super humbling. So I don't know if I live up to all that, but thank you, thank you so much for that. But I tell you what, I think that little kid in us, when it comes to baseball, I don't know if it ever leaves us really. And I'm getting the opportunity now to kind of live that back out with our youngest son, Griffin. He's a baseball player, so he loves being at the baseball park.
Nice.
And my older son, he's a golfer, but he's a big time sports guy, big baseball guy, and he loves to put the glove on and play catch and swing the bat as well. So, man, I have the opportunity to kind of spend that time with them. We're in that season of life now,
That's great.
so I try not to take that for granted.
Yeah.
I try to soak that up. So, because I know there's a time when they're going to be gone, and
Right.
it's going to be
It
tough to it's
it
going to be
goes
tough
by
to get it out
fast,
there,
man.
right?
Yeah.
So, so I'm just trying to soak that up. But you asked who Jeremy Byrd is. I'm just a guy from Frostproof that grew up there. Grew up playing baseball. Grew up playing football down there. Had the opportunity to play college baseball here at Weber International University.
Okay.
I was a catcher there for 4 years, and man, what
I
an
didn't
amazing
know that.
what
Wow.
an amazing opportunity just to play ball there, build some friendships that are still strong today. Man, that was such a blessing. And then from there, graduated. Actually spent a short amount of time in the insurance industry.
Okay.
before realizing, you know what, man, I miss being on the baseball field. So um, took a shot at going back to my alma mater, going back to Frostproof High School, and had the opportunity at, man, 22, 23 years old. I was super young, no coaching experience, but they took a shot and they hired me to be the head baseball coach down
Okay.
there. And man, I learned a lot during my 9 years there. At that time, I was not a follower of Christ, so a lot of things, when I look back on that time, there's definitely a lot of things that I feel like could have gone a little bit differently had I had that foundation, had I had that that faith. So that time happened, and went through divorce there towards the end of that time,
Mm.
and took a little time, left Frostproof, joined the coaching staff of one of my good buddies down in Avon Park for a couple years,
Okay.
and honestly, it was during that time that my life was flipped upside down and turned around, and I had a good buddy of mine back at Frostproof that even during my Frostproof days when he could kind of during the end of that time at Frostproof, right? I'm going through the divorce and things with baseball are not going well. It was man, it was a tough time,
Mm.
right? And he could just tell like I needed something, right? I needed something, and he was there, and he kept inviting me to church, kept inviting me to church, kept inviting me to church, and every weekend it was, I'm good, I'm good, you know.
And
Um,
inside, you're really not, right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
inside I'm really not, yeah, and I'm down, um, probably, I guess it was during my first year at Avon Park where I just kind of woke up one day and I was like, you know what, man, this ain't really going the way that I really hoped it could go, right? Like I need something else, man. I had supportive friends, I had supportive parents, but there was still just something that was missing. And I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I called my buddy up and I said, "Hey, are you guys going to church tomorrow?" And he said, "Yeah, absolutely." And I said, "I want to go." So I met him at his house that next morning. We drove to church together, where they were going to church, and I walked in there, and for the first time, the gospel made sense,
Nice.
and I gave my life to Christ that day,
Wow.
and it was, man, my life's been it's been totally different ever since.
Yeah.
So, um, it's really cool to look back on that and think about that time because there were some dark times in there. But when you look back on it, man, I look back on it with just a grateful heart, just a grateful heart
That's amazing.
because I know now that even in some of those tough times that the Lord was still right there, um, and he was just
Mm.
hanging on to me.
Yeah.
So
That's
so
great.
very thankful.
And it's all because there was another man that just wouldn't take no for an answer,
That's
right?
right.
I mean, he
That's
didn't
right.
push it probably, he just was there and kept
Right.
talking and kept befriending you. Did you say that would have been, like, mid-20s for you then?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there?
So that was probably 11 years ago. So actually, no, that would have been my early 30s.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that'd been
gotcha.
my early 30s.
Alright.
Yeah.
It's interesting, just when I was listening to you, I grew up in church. I don't know if you did, but I
I
grew
did
up in
not.
church. Okay. I wasn't, serious about it, but I was about 23, 24. I had played ball at, Palm Beach Atlantic.
Hmm.
Weber didn't have a program back in the early '90s, but
Right.
we would come over here to play Warner. Never wanted to live here. I've been here 21 years now, and I don't ever see me leaving, but, I'm thankful for that. But after I got hurt after a couple years, I was just kind of going to college then, and I was married. We had a child who was one. That's the one that's 32 now.
Right.
That's how long ago that was. But there was a time when I had to get serious about my faith. Am I going to go all in with Jesus, or am I just going to continue to go back and forth? When things are good, I might do that a little while, and I'll do the church thing every Sunday, but not diving in full, head first. And um, I had a crisis point in my marriage and life, and that's kind of what helped me to get serious about it. And I never looked back. God started to change things for me almost daily, and I'm really thankful for that. And our stories are what are important. That's the purpose of this podcast, is to just get people on here to tell their story about what their life was like before Jesus, what was happening when they met him, and what it's like now because of that. And you talked about everything just kind of changing from that point on. Tell me a little bit about that. What happened after you got to know him?
Well, so I think sometimes we feel like there's just going to be this great, like, earth-shattering, oh, and now I'm totally different type of thing. But it's definitely, while things certainly change immediately, there's definitely a process that really goes into it. And I think that for me, I would say, um, that's very much true. There were some things that the Lord immediately did in my life. There were some things that he immediately took away from me um, that definitely cleared the way for me to be able to kind of begin living this type of life. But there were some things that was a little bit slower process that he really had to do some work in my heart, and eventually you know, uh, kind of rid me of, I guess, if you will. But and there's many things that he's still working on. So
Right.
let's not
Same here.
let's not misunderstand that. But
Yeah.
um I think so shortly after, so probably 4, 5, 6 months after I had began going to church and started following Christ and really trying to figure out what that meant. um, I met my now wife. I met
Mm,
Stephanie,
okay.
and if I'm being honest, she was so instrumental in me understanding what it really meant to be a Christ follower.
That's awesome.
I know this is about men,
Who are
but
married to women like that,
that's
so or
right.
want to be.
That's right.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I mean, I just remember, as we kind of began the relationship and the courtship and all that kind of stuff. We had some real deep conversations, and they were so important. And I remember, because she grew up in the church.
Mhm.
Her dad is the traditional worship pastor at a local church
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
So
I know Dr. Dart,
yep,
yeah.
yep. So I just remember her saying, like, Sundays are for church. We make plans around church on
Nice.
Sunday.
Yeah.
We don't make other plans, and then if church fits in, but we do church on Sundays.
Man,
So
if more people could just get that,
right,
I
yeah,
I build the rest of my week around the time that I spend with God.
that's right.
What a difference that would make.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think for me that really helped, I guess, kind of fix it in my mind, right? Like, this is the priority,
Mhm.
right? Like, this isn't the second option. This isn't the third option. Like, we're going to church on Sundays,
Yeah.
and that's what we do. So, but really at that time, I wasn't really connected, right?
Okay.
I was going to church on Sundays, and man, the service was great. It was wonderful, but I wasn't really connected. Um, so our relationship, Stephanie and I's relationship, really started getting serious, and I was still going to church over in Winter Haven at a church over there. Great place. And she was going to church here in Lake Wales locally, and she invited me to church with her, and that's where we go to church now. But that was so instrumental because there were men there,
Mm,
right? There
yeah,
were men that understood exactly what we're talking about here today, that men need men,
that's right.
right?
Yeah,
That men need men. And that was kind of that's when things really kind of clicked for me, right? That Christ following men, like there's some real dudes out there and that are living this life. I mean, it's not it's not the the I guess the faint of heart and the soft hearted, the soft minded, but like there's some real dudes out here
yeah,
that are doing this, that are living this life, and that, sometimes I think that can be a little bit of a misconception, right? Um that it's not like manly men out there doing this thing, and um man, there were some guys there that were doing it, and that weren't afraid to kind of let me in, and and really see how they live, see how they led their family, see how they live this life in the community, and for me that was huge.
that's amazing. And that's really what discipleship is all about.
Right.
And it's that one person becomes a disciple, one man, and then he's discipling others, and you needed that, and you probably didn't even know what you needed
That's
when you
right.
started in
That's
this
right.
life of faith. But the great thing is I've seen you over these years. Then when you talk to people in this community about who Jeremy Byrd is, one of the things they mention is the kind of godly man you are. And that's amazing. You're one of those guys now that there are some probably other men that are going, man, I'm looking for that. And so if you there are men listening to that they're kind of, yeah, they follow Jesus, but they were like you and I were, right? Just kind of in the background. And they're at a place in their life right now where they're thinking about what would my life look like if I started to get serious about my faith. And I don't even know how to do that. What are some steps that you would tell them about how to move into that deeper walk with Jesus?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think my first thought is um is a couple verses out of John 15, where Jesus is talking about being connected to the vine,
Yeah,
right?
that's good.
And I just want to share with you,
Please do.
this is John 15:5, and these are the red letters. This is Jesus. He says, "I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing.
That's it.
You can do nothing." I mean, think about that. I mean, if you are wanting to change your life, it's not you. You are not going to change your life. There's no amount of willpower that you are going to be able to put forth. Um, that will change your life. I mean, it's the gospel, right? Like we didn't do anything for this salvation. We didn't do anything for Jesus to be on the cross except for be sinners, right?
Yeah, that's the
So
big role we played.
that's right, right? But we can't do anything apart from Christ, and we are when we are attached to the vine. Um, he's going to bear fruit in us,
Yeah,
and people are going to see that, right?
yeah,
So um so that would be the first thing that I would say is, like, you have to be connected to the vine. You have to be you have to be locked in with him. And then I would share with you another verse out of there, um John 15:8, that says, by this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit and so prove to be my disciples. When we bear that fruit, people know it. People see that change in our
that's right.
lives. And then that's where the making disciples, that's where that kind of starts.
Yeah,
So for me, that would be step one, be connected to the vine. What does that look like? I think that means you're going to church. I think that that means you're in your word daily. I think that, for me, I have to listen to I have to listen to worship music all the time. because this is weird, but country music sometimes, man,
Yeah,
it takes me back to some times
yeah,
where I wasn't living.
right.
I wasn't living this life
For you, that's
that I
country. For
hope to
me,
live.
that's metal bands. So, yeah,
Right.
it's the same thing,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, and it's weird how those things happen, right? Because there are those connections there. Um, so I mean, I think those are some things that help us be connected to divine. Um, the second thing is I would say is you need men. You need men.
Absolutely.
I think about in Luke 5 with the paralytic man who had some brothers that were trying to get him to Jesus. Um, these men had enough faith to take their paralyzed friend to Jesus because they knew that Jesus was the answer. They knew that Jesus was his only hope, and the crowd was so big they had to climb on the roof and pull back the tiles and lower him into this place because they had such faith in Christ that Christ would be able to help their friend. And you need men like that.
Yeah,
You need men. I think
that's
the
right.
term we hear them you've probably heard this before. You need mat carriers, right? You need guys that are gonna be willing
That's good. Yeah,
whenever you feel like you can't do it yourself, you've gotta have some dudes out there that are willing to just kind of pick you up and carry you along the way because there's going to be times like that in your life where you're struggling, where you're down, and you just need men, right?
yeah, yeah,
And even when things are going well, we still need those men, right?
that's right.
Because there's nothing like accountability. Um, even when things are going well, there's nothing like accountability. There's nothing like having men beside you that are living this this Christ life, to walk alongside you, right?
Yeah,
Um, and give these men permission to get in your business and say,
yes,
um, hey man, the way I heard you talk to your wife the other day, that ain't it.
yeah,
That ain't it. We got to do a little bit better, right? Hey, the way that you're getting involved with, hey man, you're working a little bit too much. You're not really leading your family the way that God would call you to lead your family right
yeah,
now,
yeah.
so you've got to give these men permission, and sometimes it may sting, but man, we need men. We need men in our lives that are willing to do those types of things.
I
So,
would agree with you.
um,
So I meet with a couple of guys every week. We've met probably every Wednesday if we can for the past like 17 years. Now I spent 6 years in the nonprofit world and was volunteering here at church, so it was a little harder to get together then, but we still checked in with each other. And just this week, Wednesday, I sat down with them, started explaining something going on in my life, and both of those guys were like, "Yeah, you need to put some other safety barriers, some boundaries in that area. That it's not bad, but down the road that could come back to get you, and put you in a bad situation." And I heard that and I received that because we've spent so much time together and we build trust together. So when they do um, challenge me on something, I'm listening. So what would you say? So guys aren't going to walk into a church on Sunday with a big sign that says, "I need other men in my life."
right.
Um, but we know that they do.
Mhm.
So what suggestions would you make? Those are amazing parts that we've got to be connected to Christ and other men. Absolutely. And I love that John 15 passage because that's where he talks about when you bear that fruit, it will be fruit that will last.
That's right.
So this is something that's going to go on the rest of your life as long as you stay connected, as long as you remain and abide in Him. But then, how does a man, Dave, who's just listening to this somewhere, how does he find that? What does he have to do to go about finding the kind of connection that you and I have experienced and are experiencing, and that he needs in his life?
Yeah, so that's a great question, right? Because men are typically not the big talkers,
Right.
right? We kind of leave that to our wives, and I'm thankful for the way my wife loves to talk to other people because it helps open some doors for me for conversation.
Okay.
But um, it does take some intentionality, right? It does take just letting down some barriers to be able to be open to having new friends. One of the things that I would encourage men to do is to serve.
Nice.
Find
Yeah.
ways within your church that you can serve. Because if we're being honest, and I would say many churches, um, I don't wanna use the word clicky, but, like, people have their friends,
Sure.
right? People
Mhm.
have their friends.
Right.
And whenever new friends come along, sometimes, and some of these friendships have been there for decades, right? So for someone to be kind of new to the party, it can be hard to break in,
Yeah.
but I would just say find ways to serve, you know? Where are other men serving within the church? Are they serving, as in the parking lot? Are they serving on the security team? Is there a group of men that goes out and uses their talents, with their hands and their tools to be able to, go and help fix up people's houses,
Mhm.
that
Sure.
of church, of some of the people in the church that just don't have the means to do it, right?
Right.
But I think ultimately it comes down to recognizing like what are my talents and what am I good at and
Mhm.
where can I plug in where other men are being plugged in because I think that's where um you're going to find, those men and then those relationships can kind of start to blossom. The other thing is I would say is, you gotta get plugged in, whether it's with, like, a Sunday school class, if it's, we call them life connection groups at our church. If it's, Bible studies, midweek type of thing,
Mhm.
just search those things out and be vulnerable, right? Be willing for things to feel a little bit awkward for a little while until you get to learn and know people, until you develop those relationships. But um, just keep going, right? Just keep going. Keep putting yourself in those situations. Just keep trying to break down those walls of friendship,
Yeah.
right? And just keep putting yourself there.
Yeah. I think when you use a word, it might be awkward a little bit, but on the other side of that awkward comes that accountability and
That's
those
right.
real friendships that you were talking about. So we do have to put ourselves out there. And I loved what you said about serving and just getting around some others. And we call that serve passionately here.
Mhm.
And so it really comes down to what is it that you enjoy? What are your strengths? I'm not the kind of guy, if you need something fixed at your house, call me.
Yeah, me either.
I'm thankful that I have people like that. We half jokingly talk about our son-in-law who lives 8 houses down from us, and, but he's amazing. The
Mhm.
dude can fix anything,
Oh, that's great.
and I told Hallie, you picked a good one right there for no other reason, but and we love Brent, but you need that in your life. You also need people who are gonna challenge you in other ways, and
Right.
so, who are gonna get you out of the house and spend time with you, those kinds of things. So, it really comes down to that. You've mentioned a couple of times your wife, Stephanie, and so you guys got married, how long ago was that? 8 years?
Oh,
I should have checked with you before you're on
yeah, I
the
was gonna
spot
say
here.
you shoulda gave me you
I
shoulda included this.
I know it was a great day because Lana and I were
Yes,
there to
yes.
celebrate with you, so
We've been married for 7 years
7,
now. Yep.
okay,
So we're
alright.
going on 8.
You're just looking forward to 8 so much that I
That's
said it,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
So you talked about how instrumental she was in your early faith, and I'm sure that that has continued to help strengthen you spiritually, and it just opens up conversations between you and your wife, over the years, and man, that's so important too to be able to talk with your wife, not just about, the game or your job, but also about where you're at in your faith and what the Lord's showing you. So when you have conversations like, I was just reading in Luke 5, can you believe that these guys climbed on the roof and pulled back the tiles, which by the way, I read the other day, they probably used manure to help hold
Mhm.
those together. So when you got some guys that are going to literally dig through crap for you
Right.
to get you to Jesus, that's a big deal. So when you have those conversations with your wife and that's been amazing. And you guys have how many kids?
We have 3.
3?
We have 3, yep.
Okay. And we've got double that, right? Because we each had 3 before Lana and I got together, and it's been amazing to just because I know you guys are a blended family also,
We are.
and so we'll talk about that a little bit as you have been a father, and now in our house, I don't say, "Oh, I'm their stepdad." I'm just, "This is my daughter, this is my son," and
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't ever try to take the place of their parent, and Lana doesn't either, but we just really work at having a relationship with our kids. And we joke about it because one is moving out today. Just he and his fiance bought a townhouse in our neighborhood,
Cool.
our Griffin, and they're getting married in October. So that means we've got 4 others there are 4 kids of ours that live in the same neighborhood. And it's awesome, man. Father's Day was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We had a progressive dinner, went to everybody's house,
Yeah.
and then finished up at Hallie's and Brent's, and it's amazing. We love it. But talk about how your relationship with your wife impacts your relationships with your kids.
Yeah, so, um, I tell you what, she's amazing. First of all, she's amazing. She's definitely, she does a great job of keeping me in check, but at the same time, man, there is no one who encourages me, the way that she encourages me. Um,
That's great.
she teaches me patience, not in the way of you need patience to deal with her, but like, I see the way that, that she just kinda carries herself and the way she
She teaches
interacts with.
middle school. She has
Yeah,
to have patience,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
She's taught 6 of our kids, 5 of them. So yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I would just say that the way that, man, the grace that she has, the way that she just loves the kids, that's really, I mean, that's really helped me. I'm an only child. And prior to this marriage, I had one son. He was an only child, so coming in, that's really all that I've ever
Okay.
experienced, right?
Okay.
So when we started dating, and there were 3 kids, that was, that was a change, right? Because now things get a little more energetic and a little more loud
Yep.
and, a little more emotion here and there, right? Um, but I think the way that she's kind of, showed me patience and showed, love and showed grace in the parenting of all of that, that's definitely been a huge help for me. And like you said, we don't use the step parent term or anything like that. If anything, we use bonus, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Bonus mom,
Yeah.
bonus dad.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, hey, this is my daughter, this is my son,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
but I tell you, I mean, you and Lana, like you guys were instrumental in how we really talked about and tried to form our family, right? Because blended families, um, from what I understand, can be really tough,
Right.
and we've definitely had our challenges, but I tell you what, our family has come together, like only God could put our
Yeah.
family together, and we are so fortunate and so blessed. We talk about it often.
So do we. Yeah.
We talk about it
You
often.
have
How,
to.
yeah, and because it just puts us in this place of thankfulness for for God's love, for His grace, for His provision in the way that He's brought our family
Yeah,
together. Like
yeah.
he could do it that way.
I hear that. Yep. Absolutely. And, we both experienced so you had 1 son,
Mm,
I had 3.
mhm.
But man, things change when you come into a picture with daughters around, and that
Absolutely.
was a huge shift for me. There's just there's a difference with them, and I have great relationships with Hallie and Collins. Hallie was going into her senior year when we got married, and then she's off to college.
Mhm,
But then she came back here, and she's on staff here at our church, and is just so genuine and real and
mhm.
loving. And we're excited because she's getting ready to have our first grandchild
That's
in
exciting.
October. Bear is just going to be a blessing to our family. And then I got Collins, and I came in, she was like 5 when I came into the
Mhm.
picture. And so I've really spent a lot more time with her. But it's just been eye-opening in a good way to experience life a little differently through the eyes of daughters than it is through sons. Sons, like, they'll fight each other and wrestle and rip things out of each other's hands, when one wants to play video games or I don't wanna watch that, I'll just take the remote, and then you gotta, like, break up WWE right there. It's not that way with daughters, even though I tell them all the time, "Y'all fight like your sisters,"
Right.
but there's a deep love there, and, so life has just been really amazing for us as well. Have hard times, of course,
Mhm.
and we had, lots of times early on, we had to schedule family meetings where, hey, Tuesday night at 7, everybody's home. The guys that were doing sports were back from practice and showered because nobody wants to sit around the table after they've been at practice all day.
Right.
And we would just talk about stuff. Hey, this is happening.
Mhm.
We need y'all to step up here in this area. Um, and then everybody else got the chance to talk. And what it really did was built this culture, that's a bad word, really. It built this freedom for them to have conversations themselves. So now I find out, a couple of them have lived away and now they moved back, and they check on each other and they talk with each other I'll say something, oh yeah, I was talking with Caleb about that, and so it's just really amazing to hear that. Hope that's happening with you as well. And I really recommend for any family to have those family meetings. You may have to schedule them, and that's okay. Don't feel like, "Oh, we're missing the boat here." No, because it really sets the tone for those ongoing conversations that are built on love and respect, and I'm gonna work through this with you instead of pull away from you,
Right.
all of those things. So, just I hope that that's something that you guys are building in as well and that other people are seeing, and they're going to grow up and start their own families, and
Right.
that's where we're at.
Right.
And we want those things to continue in their family where they're working to build a healthy family relationship where the husband and the wife, and he's loving her the way Christ loved the church, and she's respecting him in the way she talks, just like Ephesians 5 talks about, because they've seen us model that. And and then in the way that we're building them up in the training and instruction of the Lord, that we can talk about the game last night, we can talk about the book that somebody's reading, but we can also talk about things spiritually that matter. And and when they're struggling, they know that there's a safe place they can come to, that Lana and I are there for them
Mhm.
and with them. And I love that. That's the kind of discipleship that happens in our home, and God calls you and I as men to be the ones that lead that.
Mhm.
Does that mean that I say, "Hey, Tuesday night is family Bible study, be here"? Maybe. You might need to do that. Does it mean that you make decisions on where you go, where they're going to go, and what they watch, or what social media they have on their phone? Yeah, it's all of that. Does it mean that you set boundaries about where they can drive and who can be in the car with them or who they can be in the car with? All of that comes into play because it's our job as men to lead our families.
That's right.
And we're not lording that over them. I'm not saying this is what you're going to do and I'm the ruler of this declare. No, you might need to talk direct to one of your kids, or you might need to just put your arm around them and say, "Hey, we don't do that,"
Right.
and only talk to you about why. So those are some things that we've experienced. Anything else you want to add about your marriage and family? Because that's really good stuff. What you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all great stuff that you have that you were talking about there, and I guess what I would say is one of probably some of our favorite times. Stephanie and I have some of our favorite times. Our two oldest kids, they're both 17 years old. They're both going to be seniors this year, um, and they would both tell you that's my best friend.
Nice.
And,
Yeah.
sometimes we
That's amazing.
yeah, sometimes we find out that, we've gone to bed, they wake up tired the next day, and we're like, "Why are you tired?" And they're like, "Well, we were up till, like, 2 o'clock in the morning just talking." You know? So, um, so that type of thing when we talk about, this being a blessing and only God could do it, like, it's that sort of thing, and we do have those times where, the 4 of us, we don't try to leave the younger one out, but, a lot of times we start having conversations around what's going on in their life with
Yeah.
school,
Yeah.
with friends, with sports, with all those types of things, um, after he's already gone to bed, because there's something about 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night where all of a sudden teenagers like to talk. you know?
Yes.
And those have been and Stephanie and I are tired,
Right.
but at the same time, we're like, "Man, man, that was awesome." That was a
Yeah.
great time to talk because they just open up
Yeah.
and they share their heart, and we get to hear the things that they're going through. We get to hear the things that are on their heart. We get to hear, what they want out of life. So man, just I mean, those are really amazing times. So um, don't go to bed.
Yeah.
Stay up with them.
That's good.
you
Yeah,
know.
when you got your kids talking to you and sharing with you, you can get an extra cup of coffee or an energy drink the
That's
next
right.
day, but that's a time that you
That's
really
right.
can spend with them. I wanna go to, a time you guys probably had a lot of conversations because here recently, within the last couple of years, you made a huge shift in your life. You felt like God was calling you away from teaching and into working for FCA. Tell me about that, when God started to call you as you had those conversations and are now in that, what tell me about that process, what that's been like.
Yeah. So, I was trying to think just the other day, how did this whole journey actually start? And I think that it started with just a small Bible study. Um, a buddy of mine that is on staff with Fellowship of Christian Athletes, or was on staff at that time with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. It was me, him, and one other guy, and we would meet at McDonald's down in Frostproof at I think like 6:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and we would open the Bible, and
Mm,
we would just study the Word together. And I think out of that just kind of blossomed um, different opportunities where he was like, "Jeremy, like, what do you think about coming with me? I'm going to talk to this team today at their practice. How about you come with me? Um, just hang out,
mm,
you know." And then I think that kind of turned into and really that Bible study, like it started with those two. They invited me, the other two. They invited me in. We were kind of the three of us for, yeah, I mean, several months, and then this guy came in, and then this guy came in, and then the Bible study kind of started to grow. But um, so then it kind of turned into, "Hey, Jeremy, like I can't be here this day. Can you kind of lead this for me?" So I think that combination of things kind of led into this just kind of all of a sudden, "Hey, what do you think about just you? I need somebody to go down to this school and talk to the baseball team down there. Can you do that for me?" And I think that was kind of my introduction into Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and then and then it became, I need you to, can you do this school? Hey, you're at Lake Wells High School. Can you lead the on campus huddle there and, meet with this team and this team at practice and that sort of thing. So it all just kind of, it all happened kind of, you know, slowly. But through all of that, probably so then I think I've been on staff for, probably over 2 years.
Okay. Man, already?
Mostly in a part-time role.
Okay.
Um, but over the last year, I just felt this, man, I felt this pull. I felt this calling to, um, to do this full time. And, man, you wanna talk about scary.
Sure. Mhm.
That's scary because I've been a teacher for 19 years, 18 at the time. Um, and I'm like, man, like I'm kind of on the other side of this whole teaching
Yeah.
thing. God, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know, like I have been, and I enjoy it, right? I enjoy being in the classroom with students, and but just through a kind of a series of things where um I could just feel like my passion for being able to go and speak with teams, being able to, lead a Bible study with coaches. I could just feel like God really just kind of filling me, through those things, I guess, and really just kind of start feeling like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do full time. Um, and then, I'll talk about her again, Stephanie. Like um, she was super encouraging, right? Like
It's great,
never,
man.
never at
Yeah.
any point was it like, no, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like you just need to finish this teaching
Yep.
career and be done with it and just keep doing this on the side. It was okay, like if this is if what you're really feeling, like let's just continue to pray about this and then and let's see. And man, she was so supportive. So definitely couldn't have made this jump without her
Mm.
support.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I wouldn't recommend trying to do that, right?
absolutely not.
Yeah. That's amazing, and I think it goes back to the kind of relationship you already had with her,
Right.
because if that's not built on love and trust and respect, and I'm making sure that I'm leading you as a man, she's gonna go, no. You're like 10 years away from the drop, and, as a
Right.
teacher, or whatever that time frame is, but,
Right.
um, you gotta finish this out.
Hmm.
But you said yes to a call where God was saying, "No, I've got something else for you, something different, something better, and I'm gonna provide for you in this process." And so, man, you go into that, that's a huge step of faith. By the way, it's interesting when I heard you talk about that, because 'cause I've never heard you tell that story, um, about how you just kinda went along, and then he would have you talk, and then he would be so, "I can't be there, can you go?" And then you step into this role. That's kinda how I ended up here
Oh,
at High
really?
Point. We had left Babson Park Church in 2010. I didn't want any part of ministry, I was burned out. We just started coming to church here. I was working in the nonprofit world. I said, "I don't wanna teach anything, I don't wanna lead anything, I just wanna sit in church next to my wife for, like, the first time in 13 years,"
Right.
because I was always preaching. And, Bonnie Barker, who's our executive pastor here now, was like, "Yeah, yeah, no problem. You can take a break." And she turns to someone, this is a true story, and she says, "I'll give him 3 months." And then she started with, and I'm not saying she was trying to trick me, but then she was like, "Hey, so and so can't lead Bible study tonight. Could you step in?"
Mm.
And I remember telling my wife, my first wife, Kelly, this is before she went home to be with the Lord. I said, "It's just one time. I'm just filling in this once." And she's like, "Mhm, yeah, yeah, sure. You're lying." But she went along with it. She didn't
Right.
call me a liar, but she was like, "Mhm, one time," and then one time led to, "Can you just finish out this study?" And then would you be interested in leading a study? And then would you be interested in leading our small groups and coordinating that? And then come on part-time, and then February, I'll be here full-time 10 years, which is
Mm,
hard to believe for
right,
me. So it does happen where you start to get in, you kinda wade into this water, and you think you're just gonna sit there, where your feet kinda sink into the sand, but that's about it. But then you get knee deep and waist deep, and then you're in over your head.
right,
And that's where God wants us to get. When we do that, that's when he does his best work.
that's right.
So I wanna hear, what your life is like on a regular. What do you do with FCA? What does your work week look like?
Yeah, so I actually just wanna take a step back, here as well, and really kinda tell you the scary part in all of this stuff was, you as a teacher, um, you come and you plan lessons and you teach, when with Fellowship of Christian Athletes, we're local missionaries, so the, through this whole process, God has really taught me a lot about faithfulness because this whole ministry is is funded through the generosity of donors, of people who see the um, um, who see the mission of FCA, who believe in the mission of FCA, who believe in what we're doing. So that's kind of the part where that was kind of the scary part in all of this is how do we jump from a career where that paycheck is there
Sure.
to okay, we've got to go out and raise these funds so that we can go out and do the ministry so that we can actually, obviously, be able to raise support to be able to live and pay our own bills and that sort of thing. So I would say that through that whole process, um, God taught me so much about faithfulness. Um, it really turned into kind of a family thing because I would come home and the kids would want to hear about how the meeting went that I had
Oh, wow.
with a potential donor,
Nice.
and I would let them know, hey, today I've got a meeting with with this donor or that donor. I didn't give them names, but
Yeah, of course.
I've got meetings with some potential donors today. Like I need you to pray for this. And they would pray for it, right? And we would celebrate, God's faithfulness when someone would see the vision of FCA and partner with us. So it really became a family thing, right? Where we could celebrate together. So
That's amazing.
so that was really
Yeah.
a cool opportunity for this to really be a family thing. Um, so I wanted to say that, and I forgot your other question. So hit me with it again.
That was just it. I just think I wanted to hear about that process of moving into FCA and
Mhm.
what it was like. I wanted to hear more than let's talk about what your work week is like
Oh
now. Now
yeah,
that you've been doing this,
yeah,
what does that schedule look like?
yeah. So the schedule's really interesting because it's not your typical 9 to 5 situation. You know, there are So we have our footprint is what we call Southridge and Heartland. So that's kind of the footprint that I work in. So that would include Eagle Lake, Winter Haven, Lake Wells, Babson Park, Frostproof, down into Northern Highlands County
Okay.
for me. So like Avon Park, right? So it looks like a lot of different things. There are, and really, we have a footprint on campuses from elementary school all the way up to college,
Yeah,
right?
that's good.
So it's really just amazing to see what the ministry looks like at all different levels. Um, I attend and help out with campus huddles, right? Which are the athletes for the entire student body. But most of them are athletes. Some of them are just people that want to come and be a part of a body of Christ that's meeting on a school campus,
Mhm.
right? So I have the opportunity to be at high schools and middle schools from Lake Region, All Saints, um, Lake Wales, Bach North, Bach South, um, Weber International
I was gonna
University.
say, yeah,
So,
because 'cause I've
um,
spoken at FCA, and I knew you guys go
right,
on a regular
right.
basis, so
And that one to me is, that one holds a special place, right?
yeah, man, that's
Because
home, right?
that's
So,
right, that's
yeah,
right. Those are on different days, but then we have the opportunity to speak at team practices, right, across the different sports, and really what that comes down to, and this is so important, is how we develop relationships with coaches, right? Because coaches are the ones that are going to open the door and allow us
yeah. Mhm.
to be at practice and to be able to share the gospel with their athletes. Because at the end of the day, our world's changing, and schools are starting to get a little, some of them are becoming a little apprehensive about, you know, the word being shared on campus.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't necessarily think that it's out of a we don't want that to happen, but what it could kind of open up from
Yeah,
other
they're scared of the
organizations, you know?
ramifications,
So,
sure. Mhm.
um, so, so we're so thankful for the relationships that we have with coaches to be
Yeah,
able to be on campus at practices and that sort of thing. So, and then one of the things that I'll share that's relatively new, with what kind of the direction the ministry is kind of taking for me is FCA Sports. And what FCA Sports is it is the kind of the development of the league and club space.
okay.
We had the opportunity last May to kind of partner with Ben Hill Griffin, Frostproof Ben Hill Griffin Junior Elementary down in Frostproof. And we offered an after school flag football league down there, and it's kind of the first of its kind here in our area. So it's kind of our test run when it comes to this, and um, when I tell you, just to see the way God kind of brought all that together and put all the pieces in place for us there. Man, it was a lot of fun to see that. We opened up registration, and at first it was kind of slow. I'm like, oh man, what are we doing
What did
here?
we do?
What's
Yeah.
happening, you know? But then we met on that first Wednesday. We had 40 kids out there. By that Saturday, I think we had another like 15 signed up. And then that next Wednesday that we met in May, we were just over 60 kids
Wow.
out there. And we were able to have 3 different fields, set up where we were able to put kids into age groups. But it was so much fun because the kids would leave school and they would come running down from the school, to meet us at the PE area. We would give them a snack, we would share the gospel with them, and then we would go, kinda warm up, practice a little flag football, and for many of these kids, they're learning a new sport.
Mhm.
And for some of them, we don't know why they were there. Some of them wanna play sports. Some of them don't wanna go home in the afternoon, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so that's kind of the awareness that we get to have and the things that we kinda got to learn through some of these relationships. But man, yeah, every week we're bringing in 60 kids and just sharing the gospel with them from kindergarten through 5th grade. And we would meet kind of along the fence line, where the parents were picking them up
Mhm.
at the end,
Mhm.
and we would just kind of share a recap of the gospel presentation that we had given at the beginning, so that all the parents could hear it, right? And we would encourage the parents, go home, ask your kids questions today, you know. So we're super encouraged by that, and that's kind of the direction that this ministry is kind of going for me,
Okay.
is the development of this, and finding out where can we have some of these other after school leagues. So So FCA sports is really one of the big things that is going to be kind of my daily path and daily direction for the remainder, or at least as we begin this next school year. So
So you guys are looking to try to do that more locally than the FCA sports part.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, yep, FCA Sports, and we've also had the opportunity to partner with another local church to help run their sports leagues as well. So, so we're super excited about that opportunity and the partnership that that will create. So, yeah, so FCA Sports, I think that's a thing that you're going to start seeing a lot more of in
Okay.
this area.
Okay. We have a school here at Providence Academy at the church, and so I was just making myself a note to follow up with them to let them know about this
Oh yeah,
because
yeah,
they do some flag football. They were in a unit. This was last school year, not this past one, but they asked me, "Hey, would you play quarterback, for flag football, and so every Tuesday morning, I was getting here and being all-time quarterback, right? And
nice,
man, I loved it. I loved
absolutely,
it. But it gave me a chance to build relationships with these young guys too, and, now they're in middle school, and so I'm seeing them, they're in that awkward stage, right? Like, they're about to b they look like men, but there's still some,
right,
parts where they're not, but we're helping them learn what kind of man they should become,
right.
and discipleship can happen in any and in every way
Right.
if you look for it. So that's tremendous. I'm glad you talked about that. Anything else you want to say about FCA? You're 2 years into this, right? And you're going on like the end of your first year full time. What's a story that you remember about this happened and this encounter? Don't use names, obviously, and you know that, but um, what did God do one time? Just tell us that,
Yeah,
or can
so
you tell it just one story?
yeah, I mean, so I think every time that we have a camp, every time that we have a clinic, every time that we go out to play flag football after school, um, we may not truly know the seeds that we're having the opportunity to plant, right? Um, we don't know what kind of ground those seeds are falling on. Um, but I think one maybe one story that kind of stands out to me is we were at the a huddle here at Lake Wells High School, and we uh, we have a great leadership team there, and a great student leadership team. We have great sponsors there as well. So so that on campus huddle is it's great. And but we met one day, and I don't remember who the speaker was. I don't remember what the topic was. I don't remember, but um, what I remember is a kid come up at the end, and you could tell he was a little shy, I guess, in talking, and maybe he didn't really know exactly what he was trying to say, but he just said, "Mr. Byrd, I just want you to know, like, I'm so thankful for FCA, and I'm so thankful for FCA because no one else in my family is a believer.
Mm,
Not my
wow.
mom, not my dad. I've got 2 or 3 brothers," I think he said. Um, he's like, they don't get it." He's like, but I get to come to school, I get to come to FCA, and I have a place where I can come together with other people that think like me and believe like me. Um, and this is a space that I look forward to being a part of each week. So
That is great.
so yeah, so that's one of those things that's really man, it just hit home for me, right? Because sometimes we're kind of in and out of the school, and those huddles, those times can be short, so so to have a kid just feel the need to come up and kind of express that that was awesome.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And that's really what the kind of reaction, the kind of input that you're trying to get every time, right?
Mhm.
And um you can't like measure that, you can't say, "Oh, every 6 times we should have this encounter," or
Right.
any, and there's certainly something about goals, but that kinda thing, I'm sure you, like, walked out of there on cloud 9,
Absolutely.
I'm sure when you went home and told your family about that story
Right.
about FCA, that was a big moment for you guys.
Right.
But it's amazing how God's using you, and it all happens because a man like you says yes. It all happens because a man like you who's going through something of your own years ago says yes to Jesus. And then you start getting around other people that are helping you. And then you start talking with this lady and you end up marrying her and
Mhm.
you continue to talk about who Jesus is in your marriage. And you've got some men that you're sitting around the table at McDonald's talking about the word and the Lord. And then you start feeling this pull, this call. And God saying, will you say yes again? And you did. And now, because of that, he's putting you in environments and arenas and teams and huddles where you're talking to people about him every day. And it's around sports. Like,
Right.
how cool is that?
Absolutely.
Kind of like dream job thing,
Yes.
for me. And you mean I have to go to work and go to another game or go to another practice? That's awesome, right? But you're getting the opportunity to impact the lives of men and women
Right.
and help train them spiritually. I remember when I was in high school, I graduated in 1990, like long ago. I went to FCA one time in the 3 years I was there.
Mhm.
Kind of ashamed to admit that, but that's where my life was. I went to more rock concerts than FCA, and that's sad. But when I look now, thank God for people who are leading those huddles. For a time, Lana led the one at the high school here,
Absolutely.
and so I got to see that. But you guys are doing such a great work, and I just commend you for the work you're doing every day. I don't even know what you've got in store. It sounds like with the FCA Sports, you're not even really sure where this is going, but God is sure of it.
That's
He
right.
knows exactly where he's taking you and the plans that he has for you and how he's going to use you. So I hope that um, this has been encouraging to you to kind of look back over your life. And I really appreciate you coming in to share with me today and our listeners. And that's really what we're trying to do is talk to men about following Jesus and what that's like. And when you say yes to him and you start following him, how is that going to change the trajectory of your life and the direction that it goes and how he uses you to bring other people to him? Again, that's what making disciples is all about, helping men become disciples of Jesus. And so I appreciate you coming in today, man. Thanks so much for being here. It's been amazing to catch up with you and hear more about who you are
Yes,
and
sir.
what God is using. So thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
We'll have to have you
Okay.
back on a couple of years down the road and hear
Yeah.
about FCA sports and
Amen.
other things. So
Amen.
we're going to be praying for you as you do this, and I know God's going to keep using you. So
Yes, sir.
anything you
Thank you.
need, just let me know. Okay.
Sure will.
If there's something you want to come on and talk about, like as that's going, let me know. We'll get you back in.
All right. Perfect.
So, thanks so much again for being here. Well, that's all the time we have today. Again, I want to thank Jeremy for being here and sharing his story. I hope something he said resonated with you, made you take a look at your own heart in life and where you're at in your walk. I hope that because of what he said, you're willing and wanting to get connected to the Savior, connected to that vine. And when you do that, that you're going to get around some other men like he talked about, and that's going to bring about some fruit in your life. And then God's going to start using you to speak into the lives of others. I'd love to hear questions or comments from you. If you have those, if you want to reach out to me, the link is in the show bio. But we would love to hear from you and just continue to keep joining us. And we'll be back again soon. And we'll talk to you later, where we're trying to make every man into a disciple of Jesus. So thanks so much for joining us today. Thanks for joining us today for this latest episode of Making Disciples. If you have any comments or questions, I would love to get for you to go to the comments or questions link that's found in the description of the episode. And I really would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for joining us today. We'll talk to you later.